Welcome to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zorkel Profiles. I'm here with my co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and of course, entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. So I want you to meet Kimberly Collier. She is the Chief Development Officer at Ducklings Early Learning Centers and the founder of its franchise company, where she has dedicated her career to shaping the future of early childhood education while helping others achieve their entrepreneurial dreams. With decades of experience in business development and strategic growth, Kimberly has played a key role in building a trusted brand known for exceptional learning environments, strong leadership, and meaningful community impact. She's deeply passionate about empowering franchise owners to create lasting success and opportunities for generational wealth through business ownership. We're going to talk about all of her successes and mindset. Kimberly, please, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad we were able to reschedule this where it worked out in our calendars. So thank you for joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here. Hello, Rebecca. Hello, Tracy. Thanks again for having me.
So, Kim, we'd like to know a little bit about your childhood. Maybe were your parents entrepreneurs? Like, take us back to the beginning. Where did this all start?
Well, I'm the oldest of three girls, born and raised in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Go Delco. So if my Delco comes out, you'll be able to place the accent. I promise I've exercised myself of saying water. I've moved on to water like a civilized human being. At least I try. Every so often, water comes back, and I'm not sorry. So oldest of three girls, and my dad worked for Boeing helicopters for years and years. My mom started off as a real estate agent for Century 21.
Oh,
And always worked. She was a working mom. And because both of them worked, we were always kind of made to help out. And we cleaned the house. We were held responsible for doing chores. And it really, I think, created this mindset that I have, where you figure it out, you make it
yeah.
work, and you you just kind of get in there and do what needs to be done.
It's interesting you say that because I do think both parents working, which is more common today than, in the early 50s and 60s or before, um, really does kind of have a child grow up in a different environment where they have to do some things on their own and they have assignments or chores or whatever that contribute to the family, contribute to the home. Um, but you mentioned both parents were working. You had to participate and contribute. And that kind of allowed you this mindset of everything is figure outable. So tell me more what that means. Can you tell me how that works in your life?
We were the original DIYers. My dad did all the work around the house. If there was a bigger project that needed to be done, his friends came over and helped. His one friend was a bricklayer. My uncles were electricians. We did this big renovation project, I can remember, and I don't think there was a licensed contractor on the job. I don't even know if they pulled permits back then. I'm pretty sure my sister was stirring concrete somewhere, but it's just what you did. We would get paid for like matching socks up on laundry day, but when we started driving, if we had cars, if the cars needed work, we were out there with my dad working on the cars, and like we weren't just flashlight holders. He would
Yeah.
make us get our hands in there and like, this is how you tune a carburetor.
Oh,
And
wow.
he'd make us get under the car and help him hold stuff. And this is kind of how you build a person. And
Yeah.
when you are given that level of trust and people are trusting you to succeed, and I really think that that's what it's all about. When you show someone how to do something, what you're saying to them is, I'm trusting you to succeed in this.
Mm.
When you say, no, 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 thanks, I have it, it's kind of, in my opinion, it's someone saying, I don't trust you with it. So I really feel
Wow.
if you want to extend trust to a child
Wow.
specifically, include them. Come here, I want to show you something. Can you help me with this? Have them hold a dustpan, show them how to sweep. And then, even if they don't do a great job, who cares? Wait till they're not looking and finish up. But at least start laying the groundwork for a mindset of this is what we do in this house. And they'll start to figure out, oh, the way I did that before didn't work. Let me try it this way. So they're going to start to see the fruits of their labor. And what happens when I sweep the floor with my left hand? What happens when I sweep the floor with my right hand? And they start to figure out what works and what doesn't. It's what happened growing up. And you start to learn that you're capable. And as soon as you tell someone, hey, you're capable and you can do this, you kind of create a little bit of a monster, sort of, because what else can I do?
Mhm.
Okay, well, what can't I do? And that's really what my parents did with me is I learned that pretty much everything is figure outable.
Mhm.
All you need to do is look around, see what you can do to figure out how to accomplish that. And if you can't do it, find someone who can. In the end, you figured out how to solve the problem.
Wow.
That's incredibly amazing. I mean,
Well,
you were empowered at such a young age. And not only that, your parents showed you that they trusted you, but it also sounds like they were investing in you. So you walked away thinking, I am investable. Like I am worthy of people investing their time in me.
sure. I also think they were probably exhausted. And they just wanted someone else to sweep. But this is what happens. When you divide and conquer, the after effect is you're empowering your children, your team to want to take on more. So if your bandwidth is just like stretched to the limit, ask for a little bit of help. And it's not weakening you, it's empowering others.
Hmm.
Yeah. I get a flashback here from, I think it was Christmas or Thanksgiving of last year. I have two great grandsons. They're just now turning 4 and 5. They're 13 months apart. And I had leaves everywhere in the front yard. And my son, who's has OCD, it was driving him nuts since
I can
we were playing cornhole, right? And those leaves were in his way. So he goes and gets the leaf blower out of my garage and he starts blowing them. And then he gives it to the now 5-year-old. And this kid had a blast kind of blowing those things. And he would put it in his little brother's face, and the little brother's head straight up. And then sometimes they're leaf blowing and sometimes they're just goofing off. But what's interesting to me is my son didn't critique them. It wasn't like you're doing this wrong or you could do it better or give it to me. You're not doing a good job. You're just playing. You're supposed to be getting rid of leaves. Um, so my question around that is, do you think as parents, as teachers, sometimes in our desire to make them better, we over critique or we often,
100%.
yeah. What's a better way? Is it really where they just explore and figure it out themselves, or what's a better way?
We see it all the time, and a huge lesson came after COVID, where so at Ducklings or all childcare centers, as soon as we were told you're an essential service and you guys can be open, we were like, cool, say less, we're open. We were closed for I think exactly a month, like for the
Wow.
month of March. And then they were like, you guys got to open up because like these nurses and doctors, we're like, cool, we're opening. And we opened back up and then we opened more and opened more and opened more. So the kids that stayed home with mom and dad because they were allowed to work from home and they decided, well, I'll keep my kids home, keep them well, save some money on childcare, whatever their reason. When these COVID kids came to school at the age of 3, 4, never having been away from mom and dad, there were some of the kids that like wouldn't touch food. Like they were like, waiting for you to put food in their mouth. And like they wouldn't touch stuff. And it was because they were being fed and they had sensory issues where like they didn't like having their hands washed and they wouldn't touch paint and it was because they didn't do any of this stuff in their house. Because mom and dad were like, that's not happening at my house. Like we do not paint in this house. We do like here, just let me feed you. It's faster and it's easier, and I'm just gonna do it, and that way we don't need to deal with it. Where at and it created some sensory integration problems that I think unfortunately these kids are probably gonna struggle with for a while, if not like forever. We don't do that
Wow.
at Ducklings. At Ducklings, like these kids get in it. We're okay with the mess. Like we're designed to handle that. And also like the squishing, smelly sliminess of childhood, like that's helping to just like that's fires synapses. Like children learn through sensory play. They
Mhm.
learn through social interactions. That's what we do. They don't learn through technology, like blah, boring. We don't even bother. But put a kid like at a table with a friend or even like at a sand bin. Man, do you remember how fun that was?
Yes, I do.
So fun. Or even better, like the homemade Play-Doh with like some essential oils in it to make it smell really good. Hot damn. Like that is living. Kids love that. Like you partner them up. Oh, you're speaking my language. They could do that all day long. And it's what our curriculum is built around. So you watch them do that and they just live in it. And you send those photos home to parents. You
Mhm.
you watch the parents just get like they're so relieved. It's like, oh my God. And not only that, but there's so much they the parents think back because frankly, it's kind of the way that you and I were raised.
Exactly.
Like we remember it. And I know that these parents remember it too. It's only recently that stuff really started changing, where everybody's keeping everybody safe and kids aren't allowed out by themselves and everything has to be neat and clean and germ free. Like, let the kids figure it out. Let kids learn what happens when the teacher tells you, don't take that cup of rice out of the rice table. Don't do it. And when you do it and it spills all over the place, like, what was that? That's physics. That's gravity. That's what happens. The rice goes all over. What are we going to do now? We're going to clean it up. We're going to show you how to do it. Grab a friend, pick a friend. Oh, now it's a social interaction. Yeah. And now that kid is learning how to clean up. And guess what? They go home and they start using their sweeping skills, and the parent comes in and they're like, Max won't stop sweeping. You guys are the best people on the face of the planet. Like, yes.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
precious. This
It's
is precious.
it's really it's fun. It's super fun. And all of this came from a hole in the market, you know?
Mm.
Ducklings started because my mother was the director of the Kennett YMCA childcare program back in the early 90s, and they closed it. They didn't need the program for one reason or another. They closed it, and it left 40 families without care.
Oh,
Back
wow.
then, this was a very rural community, and there were no other options. So, my mother, she figured it out and figured out how to start a childcare program.
Wow.
The teachers from the YMCA program took those children and, with the parents' permission, watched them in their house while my mother went through state licensing, figured out, found a place, rented it, had it renovated, figured out what she needed, and outfitted this program and started Ducklings Early Learning Center. Borrowed the money from my dad's 401k, and Ducklings opened in April of 1994. So I joined the program in 98 when my oldest child was born. And because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, in
Mhm.
2017, when we had four large schools and we were maxed, people they wanted ducklings in more places. Their sister lived in Erie. She wants a ducklings. Their cousin lives in Montgomery County. They wanted ducklings near them. Our bandwidth was just maxed, but we're teachers. And one of the things that we do best is train. So I started thinking, you
Mm.
know what? We should franchise this thing. And my mom was like, Kimberly,
What are
you
you thinking?
Mm.
you don't know anything about franchising. And I was like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Figure it out.
And I did. And now we are about to open our 22nd location.
Nice. That's a
Yay.
great story. That's
I
a
got to
great
tell you a
story.
story because you are so spot on, Kim. In this, we have become a world that bubble wraps our children, and we don't allow them to explore and figure things out for themselves and make mistakes and make messes. I remember when my kids were growing, literally in the backyard, there was this dirt area, and the grass wouldn't grow there for one reason or another. It just wouldn't grow. And I would go out and take the hose and turn that area into mud.
So fun.
They love
It's the
it.
best.
They love it. And they would make mud pies and they would do all kinds of crazy things. They would be head to toe mud. You'd hose them down, literally take a hose and you hose
Mm-hmm.
them down. And then you put them in a bathtub and there's this much mud on the bottom of the bathtub. It was the coolest thing ever. And then one time, my 3-year-old at that time, he's in his late 40s now, so that's how long ago it was. A friend of mine built him a barn where he could put his John Deere tractors and horses and stuff like that. And he wanted to paint it. And he kept asking his dad, will you help me paint this? Will you help me paint this? And dad never got around to it. So next thing we know, he's climbing up shelves in the garage because he knows where the red paint is for this barn. He climbs up. He gets that paint down. He somehow figures out how to get the lid off. This is a 3-year-old, right? He finds
Wow.
a cloth. He dips it in to the paint and he's painting that house. And of course, the paint is everywhere in the garage. And dad is screaming bloody murder because he's made a
Ah,
mess and he could have killed himself climbing the shelves. And me, I'm going, this kid is brilliant.
uh-huh.
He figured it out. I mean, he figured out how to do it himself. He had never been taught how to paint, never saw anybody paint. He figured it out. So I was a proud mama, and his dad had a completely opposite
Oh
uh,
yeah.
reaction to it. Anyway, suffice it to say, wasn't long after that I said I got to have a divorce because I can't handle
And you figured it out.
parenting styles here, right? Kind of thing. So, not to get us way off track here, but I love what you're doing, and I love that you're encouraging this at Ducklings, and then the benefits that are happening at home because of it. Are you also doing community events or educating parents to do the same thing? I mean, tell
Sure.
me more about the outreach kind of things.
Sure. Ducklings knows that childcare is the foundation of any community. It's one thing about parenthood, and I'm sure that us moms can completely agree. Parenthood can be very isolating. They give you this baby and without an instruction manual, and it needs you 100% of the time for 100% of the things. And you suddenly went from being a person to being like this care center that's on call 24
Mhm.
hours a day. So, and not only that, but you have no idea what you're doing. Back when we were parents, before the internet, we had this what to expect when you're expecting, and like not
Yeah.
much else. There really wasn't, there was Dr. Spock, but it's like, you know, hopefully your mom lived nearby and she knew what the heck she was talking about, because other than that, you just kind of follow the baby's lead. So a child care center can really be a lifesaver because you are going to see your child care provider more than you see your pediatrician, usually more than you see your mother or your sister or your best friend. So, being able to go and see a good child care provider who can at least give you insight into, you know, is this a normal baby or a demon who was sent to just vex my life? And because sometimes you don't know, or like, you're doing a good job, mom. You're going to be
Mhm.
fine. Hey, take that take the baby to have that rash checked out. They're finishing 4-ounce bottles every 2 hours. You might want to think about upping an ounce. Call your doctor and ask what they think. Little things like that. Or
Mhm.
what's even more important is your kid's going to have friends, and there's a really good chance that those friends' parents, you're going to have a lot in common with. And next thing you know, you have friends. It happens all the time at Ducklings. We've been around for 32 years now, and we have family groups that have been friends for 20 plus years. We have a group of parents at Ducklings that started doing beach vacations together when their kids were, I think, 5 and 6 years old. They started going to the Outer Banks. We get pictures from them every year. Those kids are graduating college this year.
Mhm.
It's so nice to see these groups of parents um, just meeting and being like, hey, I see you. We're all in the same boat. And it's through Ducklings, through the events that we throw. We do muffins with mom, we just had, we'll be doing donuts with dad, graduations. We are by no means a co-op where we insist that parents participate, but parenthood's fun. You get a real chance to like have do-overs a little bit, and you'd be
Mm.
surprised how entertaining it is to be like, oh, I remember that. Like, this is really cool. This is really fun to watch and be a part of. And Ducklings does make sure that we give families an opportunity to be a part of that and be a part of their child's life. But we are open 7 to 6 Monday through Friday, so it is full day care, but we are early education also. We just make sure that we have a family component as well as a community component. Um, Charity work is a big part of what we do. We are sponsors of the Ronald McDonald Houses in our area, and it's a nice and easy way to bring the children in and make sure that they feel like they're able to participate just by donations
Hmm.
and making them aware of what's going on and at the Ronald McDonald Houses, how their donations were used and how effective they were. The Alex's Lemonade Stand, also our franchise owners do their own outreach and make sure that their families were a part of it.
Nice. Kim, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Um, you seem to have a real passion for early childhood and the families, but I have a question for you that's more on the franchise side, like about the franchise owners, like what skills you look for when you're determining franchise owners and what kind of training you offer.
Our franchise owners, the simple answer is we want our owners to have a mind for business, but a heart for education. And in order to ensure that, we recently just started working with Zoracle to make sure that
Yeah.
who we see is who we actually get. So our profiling is something that we are taking very, very seriously. I did just look today, and what I find super interesting. So you're supposed to take your franchisees and break them into an A, B, and C category. And, your A's being your highest, your B's in
Perform.
the middle. And as of today, I have, I think, out of 24 franchisees, eight of them have completed their profile, and they're all B's. None of the A's and none of the C's have completed. Like,
Interesting.
isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Very interesting. But I'm so looking forward to how the assessments are going to come out from our franchisees. And I think they're super excited to be a part of the process in building the avatar for who our perfect franchisee is going to be. Being able to bring our franchisees in on the process, they've been a big part of validation. And
Yeah.
I've always encouraged our prospects to reach out, speak to our franchisees, go and visit them, pick their brains. I'm not a
Hmm.
part of it, so say and do whatever it is you want to say. I'm not there. But now they really get to be a bigger part where they're building
Hmm.
this avatar. And it gets to be a little part of each of them that's going to help to guide who we bring into the system. I really cannot wait to see what that looks like.
Me too, girl. I'm looking forward to it. Um, and to seeing your A and C folks and how all these folks are different and similar,
Hmm.
because you have such a distinct culture and a distinct business model that has to be, you have to buy into it
Yes.
to fit. Um, which kind of brings me back to this whole idea. You're a very purpose-driven business.
We are, yes.
So how do we balance that? Especially for women, right? Where if we're too purpose-driven, we tend to be overly generous and overly giving. So how do we balance where they have those business acumen and a desire to make money while at the same time operating a purpose-driven business? How do you balance that?
That is something that is difficult for some owners to get past. And I'm glad you bring that up, Rebecca, because it's a conversation I've had with several owners because I'm not in it for the money is a common theme
Yeah.
when it comes to a purpose-driven model, such as early education. And what I tell them is, it's my job to make you money. Like it's
Ah,
why I'm here is to make you money or to make sure that you make money, I should say. What you do with it is up to you. You
mm,
don't need to keep it. You can give it back to your staff. You can invest in your building. You can create a scholarship fund.
mm.
Whatever you want to do with all that cash is completely up to you. It's my job to make sure that you're profitable. And at that, they usually stop arguing with me and they start playing ball and realizing they are in a business, they are a business person
Hmm.
that unless they make money, they can't do anything.
Right.
And their mindset shifts because everything is about mindset. You know, if you tell yourself you're a failure, you'll be a failure.
Hmm.
If you tell yourself you are the smartest person in the world and then, well, maybe not. But if you tell yourself you're going to be able to figure it, if you tell yourself you're at least going to be able to figure it out, you're going to be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Um, Being able to get through to my franchisees and say, hey, look, I get it. How you see yourself is really, really important. And they saw themselves coming into this business because they're educators. And educators are they're a certain type of person. They
Hmm.
are so incredibly giving of themselves that the idea of taking something for themselves is like, oh,
Yeah.
they don't know
I
how to do it.
I agree. I gotta tell you the picture that popped in my head, and I know Tracy has one question before we get to the top of the hour. Sorry, Tracy, I don't mean to talk over you. I've been very
No, no, no,
excited
no.
about this conversation, as you can probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get this picture of you all at a conference, these educators, these purpose-driven franchisees, and then I see a picture of you with a big green dollar sign, almost like you're in a that you're the dollar sign, and then Mama Bear with a big old heart, our costume, because it
Like
really,
Care Bears.
yes, yes, she brings this piece and you bring this piece too, but you make sure people make money. So sorry, Tracy, I didn't mean to.
No, 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 no. That was great. But the question I have for you, Kim, is that
Yes.
I've worked with friends and I have worked with family. I have worked with my spouse, my ex-spouse. I worked with my mom for one day. It put me over the edge. I would like to know about you working with your mom. It sounds like an amazing fit. Like I know me and Rebecca are probably both so envious of that. Tell us
Yes.
about it a little bit.
My mom and I have, again, we figured it out. We work really well together because we learned how to fight. We
Mm,
fight really, really well. So my two sisters are also in the business with us.
Mm.
Um, my mom and I, our offices are kind of connected. And I really believe that the reason we have been really successful is I'm able to tell my mom exactly what I think. And sometimes we go at it. But at the end of the day, we turn it off and we'll be like, so what are you doing this weekend? Oh, you want to go to the beach?
Mm.
Sure, I'll go to the beach. I'll see you Saturday.
That's funny.
Whatever. My sister, like if my mom talked to my sister the way she and I talk to each other sometimes, Sarah'd be like, "You don't love me." Oh, like she'd
Drama.
hold on to it for years. She'd need therapy.
Uh,
Not me and my mom. I really think it's the reason why Ducklings is so good is sometimes my mom is nuts and I'm like, girl, you crazy. Sometimes I say some crazy stuff and my mother's like, absolutely not. You need to hear it. Like, so, and I would think that sometimes in a typical business where you just have other executives and some like big boss, if the people under that boss are afraid of getting fired, like
Mm.
they might not
yeah.
speak truth to power as easily. Like, come on, fire me, lady. What are you gonna do? She's not gonna fire me. I like, so I'm okay with doing what is best for the business.
Yeah.
I'm
Mm.
okay with being honest as long as it's best for the business and best for the franchisees. And oftentimes it's being blatantly honest with her, and she knows it. It's building the best possible experience for our staff, our families, our kids, our franchisees. And it's worked really, really well.
So great. So great.
Yeah. You're definitely aligned on your values and your mission, and you bring your individual strengths to it. And I love that you mentioned the idea of we're really good at fighting, because many of us, especially as women, hate confrontation.
Hmm.
We're harmonizers. We want
Agree.
kumbaya. So I'm really proud of both of you. So, ladies, we're at the top of the hour. This
Yeah.
conversation could go on for 6 hours for sure. Thank you, Kim, for joining us and sharing your heart, your history, and of course, everything about ducklings. So, really, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a pleasure to speak with you both. Thanks again.
You got it. And Tracy, I'm going to punt it over to you, hon, for your final thoughts.
Yeah, I was thinking, Kim, you're such a great guest. When you talk about early childhood education, I literally feel the passion that you have for people, for kids, for families. And then at the same time, you have this whole business sense, but the business side is secondary. Like you lead with your heart, and then we hear how sharp you are, as a businesswoman. And I really love that. I love the two sides and how you integrate them so beautifully.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tracy.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be, especially in a purpose-driven
Yeah.
environment. We got to keep a balance between our head and our heart,
Yeah.
and you have it. You have it. Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you so much, Tracy. And thank you to our listeners. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and of course, share this interview with Kim Collier and Ducklings, of course. And we'll see you next week on another episode of the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged.
Bye now.